The wind swept across the wide-open plains, carrying with it the scent of dust, hay, and wild sage as the sun painted the horizon in shades of gold and crimson. And it was there in the vast heart of the West, where loneliness had built its home in the life of rugged rancher Luke Callahan, a widower cowboy, whose heart had known the weight of grief ever since the day he buried his beloved wife beneath the old oak tree near the creek, leaving him to raise two little girls who needed tenderness and guidance only a mother could give. Though he gave them everything a father could, his hands were calloused from the work, his voice deep and gentle when he read them stories at night. But still, there was a hollow ache in his daughter's eyes every time they saw another girl with her mother, and that ache pierced Luke deeper than the sharpest spur. So when word spread through the small frontier town about Clara Bennett, the outcast girl no one wanted, the one abandoned by her kin and whispered about by neighbors, Luke saw something no one else could. He saw a soul just as broken as his own, a woman who needed a place to belong. And though her reputation was stained by lies, by gossip, and by the shadows of mistakes she never meant to make, Luke felt the undeniable truth deep in his chest that God does not waste pain, and that sometimes the pieces that seem too shattered to mend are the very ones that fit perfectly into another's emptiness. So one crisp evening, after tending to the cattle and tucking his girls into bed, Luke rode his horse into town, his hat pulled low, determination in his stride, his boots striking against the wooden porch of the boarding house where Clara sat with her shawl wrapped tight around her shoulders, staring at the ground as though she could hear the weight of every judgmental word the town had cast at her. And Luke, with a voice steady, yet carrying the heaviness of a man with everything to lose, said the words that would change both their lives. "Clara, I need a mother for my daughters, and you need a home." And her eyes, wide with disbelief, lifted to meet his, searching for cruelty, for mockery, but finding only sincerity, the kind of honesty that could only come from a man who had known loss. And though her lips trembled, she whispered, "Why me?" And Luke answered with the simplicity of truth, "Because you're stronger than you think. Because you've walked through fire and survived, because my girls don't need perfect. They need someone who knows what it means to be broken and still choose love." Clara's heart thundered inside her chest, for she had spent years being unwanted, rejected by family, turned away by friends, left with nothing but scraps of dignity. And now here stood a man offering not just a roof, but a place in the world. And more than that, the chance to be loved. And yet fear clawed at her, the fear of not being enough, the fear of the past rising to ruin her again. But Luke's eyes held her steady like the earth beneath her feet. So with tears brimming, she nodded, and thus began the most unlikely of unions, one not built on romance at first, but on necessity, on survival, on two souls daring to believe they could build something new out of ruins. And when Luke brought Clara to his ranch, his daughters, shy and cautious, clung to him, wary of this stranger. Yet Clara bent to their level, spoke softly, braided their hair with trembling fingers. And slowly, brick by brick, she earned their trust, baking them biscuits in the morning, patching their torn dresses, listening to their whispered dreams under the stars. And in return, they gave her the one thing she had long been denied: innocent, unreserved affection, the kind of love children give without condition. And Luke, watching this transformation, felt something shift inside him, something that scared him as much as it healed him. For he realized that what began as a proposal of convenience was blossoming into something far greater, and he found himself lingering in the kitchen as Clara hummed softly while washing dishes, noticing the way her hair caught the lamplight, the way her laughter, soft, almost hesitant at first, lit up the entire ranch house more than the fire in the hearth. And Clara, too, found her heart stirring in ways she never imagined possible, catching herself glancing at Luke as he worked with his sleeves rolled up, his muscles taut from labor, his voice gentle when he spoke to his daughters. And she saw not just a cowboy hardened by loss, but a man of strength, faith, and tenderness. And though the town still whispered, though people shook their heads at Luke for choosing her, he paid them no mind, for he had learned that love was not the approval of others, but the quiet choices made day after day. And so their story grew, full of challenges and triumphs, full of late nights when Clara wept over old wounds and Luke held her close, promising that she was safe now. Full of mornings when laughter rang out across the ranch as the girls chased chickens and Clara chased after them, her once empty heart overflowing. And though storms came, though cattle were lost and money ran tight, though gossip flared and trials pressed hard against them, they stood firm, bound together not by perfection but by resilience, by grace, by a love born of brokenness redeemed. And as seasons changed on the wide frontier, Luke's daughters no longer prayed for a mother at night. They thanked God for the one they had. And Clara no longer felt like an outcast. She felt like she had finally come home. And Luke, who once believed his heart had been buried with his first wife, discovered that love is not a single flame that burns out forever, but a fire that can be rekindled when tended with patience, faith, and courage. And so, dear listener, as you hear this tale of a widower cowboy, his daughters, and the outcast bride who became their salvation, may you remember that no matter how shattered your past may be, no matter how heavy your losses, love has a way of finding you when you least expect it. And healing often comes through the most unlikely of hands. So if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope can rise from ashes and that family can be built from the broken, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because there are countless more stories waiting to inspire you, comfort you, and remind you that even in the wildest storms of life, love always finds a way home.